Hey y'all, it's Tay and this is Bookish Constellations, and today we are back on our bullshit of sitting on my bed to film instead of in front of my bookshelves because my bookshelves are terrifying right now, so we're not going near them. But what we are actually doing today is a book tag, one that is original to me, and it is the Goodbye Good Place book tag. If you don't know what The Good Place is, you're probably going to be really confused for the rest of this video. The Good Place is a show on NBC, a TV show, that basically the original premise for it is that this woman, Eleanor Shellstrap, dies and she gets sent to the good place, which is like heaven basically, but realizes that she's not supposed to be there, and then it all unfolds wildly from there, and there are so many twists and turns, and it's such a good show. It is one of my favorite shows of all time. I would highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. It just ended on January 30th or 31st, and I am heartbroken about it. So this is how we're handling the fact that it's over, is by making a tag. This is like a book tag, but if there's any questions where you're like, I really vibe with wanting to say a movie character or a TV show or something, like, I don't really care. Do whatever you want. This tag shouldn't have any spoilers. I mean, maybe people will include spoilers when they talk about it, but none of the questions are gonna directly reference spoilers. So there are some questions that I didn't do just because I couldn't talk about like past season 1, because I want this to be open to people who haven't watched it yet or have only watched a little bit. I just wanted to not spoil anyone. I'm going to go through all of the questions and explain them, and then I'll just quickly do like my own version of the tag, because what's the fun in not doing the tag? So the first question is Eleanor, and this is the best character development because, you know, Eleanor did a full 180, you know, just became so powerful. Number 2 is Chidi, which is a book that made you anxious reading it. This could mean like if you're someone who has anxiety or something, that like it generally made you really anxious reading it, or maybe you were just so anxious to keep going that you just wanted to know what was happening, or maybe the book itself was really intense, however you want to word that. Number 3 is Tahani, which is a rich or judgmental or ignorant character who grows and learns and kind of gets humbled. Number 4 is Jason, which is a character who is smarter and or wiser than they may appear. Maybe for you, this is a character who doesn't have a lot of like school smarts, but is really intelligent streetwise, or maybe someone who likes to act like they're not super smart, but is actually really intelligent and is really wise. You know, the way that like Jason doesn't always really know what's going on and isn't always getting it, but he also like, his heart is so big and he has some wisdom and like understanding what's going on at its core. That's just what I think. It's Jason writes, you know? Number 5 is Janet, which is your favorite non-human character, and bonus points if this character also is not binary, like does not adhere to the binary gender-wise, whether because they're like are non-binary or agender or something, or because their species doesn't have gender, or because they're like a robot or something. But just bonus points if they do not adhere to the binary, because Janet is non-binary. Number 6 is Michael, and this is kind of like, you can pick which side you want to go. You can either choose a book that you wish you could have been the architect for because you feel like you could have made it perfect, or a book that you feel like was already perfectly made down to every last blade of grass. Number 7 is The Good Place, which is a book that by every right should have been perfect, but somehow it fell flat anyway. This could mean maybe that a book that you had high expectations for and it fell flat, or maybe a book that while you were reading it, nothing was wrong and you were enjoying it, but also somehow it left you wanting more and left you feeling dissatisfied. Number 8 is The Bad Place, which is a book that you would use to torture someone in the bad place, or maybe one that someone would use to torture you. This is probably basically like your least favorite book question, but it could just be a book that you think that would just be so much. Oh my god. I may have just changed my answer. Number 9 is Philosophy Classes, which is a book that you think turned a trope or an idea on its head, or did it in a really new and interesting way. This question I did because I think that all of the themes that this series does are really wonderful, and the way that they turn certain tropes on its head, like the idea of hell as other people, or just the concept of how we see growth in who we feel can get along and things like that. But this show just has so much philosophy behind it, and it does it so well. And I want to hear about more books that you think did that really well. Number 10 is spoilers with the jazz hands. That's very important. And this is the best twist or twist to a book/series. And finally, question 11 is series finale. And this is a book that you loved so much that it broke your heart when it ended because you wanted to go on forever. And bonus points if this book had an ending that left you feeling satisfied and whole and happy, even if your heart was also in 1,000 little tiny pieces. Okay, so those are the questions. Now I'm gonna go through and try to be fast about my answers, but we all know me, I'm not very good at it. So, question 1, which was Eleanor, best character development. For this, we can tell that I just read Percy Jackson because I'm choosing Grover Underwood from the Percy Jackson series. My boy, first of all, he deserves so much more hype than he's given. Give him all the hype. When we first meet Grover, he's terrified of everything. He doesn't really know how to protect Percy properly. He is really inexperienced with using like woodland magic. He's just so young and inexperienced, and by the end of the series, he's like, I mean, spoilers, we haven't read Percy Jackson, so don't look at me right now, but like, he's basically like the god of the wild, like one of like the main dudes of the entire wild, and can like, literally is able to like hold back motherfucking Kronos with his pipes, and is just so powerful and so confident in himself in a way that he wasn't in the beginning of the book, and is so much more sure of himself and has so much more of a foundational place of who he is, and I'm just so proud of him. The second question, which was Chidi or a book that made you really anxious. For this, I've chosen The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. I wrote this book back in 2018, so it's been a second, but one of the main things I remember from this book is just how anxious I was reading it. Mostly because of whatever the fuck that one guy's, Nathaniel Sorrows. Ugh. Oh, he made me so anxious. He would, I don't think I could ever read that book again because he made me so anxious. And it is also a very intense book. I'll just read off the trigger warnings for you. It has multiple deaths, some being more gory and explicit than others, 2 instances of rape to separate characters, one of which was more explicit than the other, but both not just mentioned, but like kind of shown. Pedophilia, which was seen as a bad thing, but is still present. Assault, teen pregnancy, and lots of blood. So it was very intense, and I kept having to like put the book down because I was so anxious. Question 3, which was Tahani or a richer, ignorant character who gets humbled. For me, I chose Hannah Donnelly from Gemina, which is the second book in the Illuminae files. I did not like Hannah when I first started the book, but she really learned to not be so high and mighty. It's almost as if constant near-death experiences and like having a bunch of people you love be murdered does that to you. But she grew a lot. She also could have been someone that I could have put for like best character development, but like we gotta put Grover for that. And I think that she works better for us, like, you know, she's someone who's like super rich, that just like takes other people for granted, takes things for granted, and then learns some important lessons. Number 4, which was Jason or a character who's smarter or wiser than they seem. I had kind of 2 for this because depending on how I see it. So for a character who like does actually do a lot of dumb shit but is actually also wise, I would think Pippin from Lord of the Rings, because my boy does make a lot of bad decisions, but he also does have a lot of wiseness and is very smart, and his heart makes up for some of his being a fool of a took. Just accept that my dog's in the frame right now. It's fine. The other one I wanted to say, though, was Meg from Collateral Damage by Taylor Simmons, because Meg, I think, is a character who wants you to think that she's not very intelligent. She wants to blend into the background. She doesn't necessarily believe that she's all that, and she doesn't want to be all that, and she doesn't want to be seen as that, but she is actually so smart and has so much good street smarts, and I love her so much. Give her to me, Taylor. She's mine. Give her to me. The 5th prompt, which was Michael, I'm taking it as a story that had a world that was like perfectly made down to the last blade of grass. I chose Failure to Communicate by Kaya Sounderby. I'll put in the right pronunciation. This world and this book world I loved so much. It was so interesting. All of the different species were so fascinating and so well done. All of it, like the worlds that they went to and the species they had and the jobs they had and how everything worked. Like, it was so well done. Oh my god, please read this book. Number 6 was Janet, which is favorite non-human character. Mine, it varies. Right now, I would say one of my favorites is Crier from Crier's War by Nina Varela. We love Crier with all our hearts. We would sacrifice the world for Crier. Just the love of my life. Honorable mention to Trashface from Collateral Damage, the rat. He is the light of my life and I love him so much. I don't get bonus points for either of these though because neither of them are non-binary in either way. So if you have any characters who are non-binary and not human, please give them to me. Number 7 was The Good Place, which is a book that should have been perfect but fell flat for you. Okay, like, let me explain. I'm gonna say it and then, like, don't scream and leave. Like, just let me explain. Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. While I was reading it, I was feeling like I was having a great time and I was enjoying it and everything seemed to be going wonderful. And then I set it down and I was like, why do I feel so empty? And it wasn't just because I was, like, crying at the ending. Because we been new. But, like, for some reason, I just felt like something was missing. When I looked back, I was like, I don't know what it was. Something about it, I just was left unsatisfied in a way that I was not expecting, and I still can't figure it out, really. But to this day, I'm still, like, so conflicted about this book. Number 8 was A Bad Place, or book used to torture. The one that I would say, like, my kind of, like, haha funny one would be City of Ashes, because, oh lord, that book is just a goddamn mess. But if I actually wanted to torture someone with the book, I have 2 options. One of them is Orbiting Jupiter by Gary D. Schmidt. Fuck that book. Ugh. 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 I almost don't want to say that just because I wouldn't even want my worst enemy to read that book. Otherwise, I would maybe pick Serial Hottie by whoever their name is. Luce, I'm so sorry, but that book was just so much. Like, Orbiting Jupiter was just bad just because of, like, how shitty the themes were, but that book was just... I lost brain cells to Serial Hottie. I only read 40% of it. I lost every brain cell I had to that book. Jesus Christ. Number 9 was The Philosophy Classes, which is a trope or idea that got flipped on its head, that got done really well. For this one, I decided to do Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. This one just took its idea and did it so creatively that it's in verse, and then it's all happening in one elevator ride. And the ambiguity they have, and the morality, and the ending, and so many things it did, I thought it just did really well with it and was a really original and cool way of putting it. Number 10 is Spoilers, which was the best twist or twist of the book series. I just felt like Illuminae in that whole series, or at least I haven't read the 3rd one, but the first 2 just had so many good twists. They're just such a thrill ride. And the final question, which was number 11, series finale, a book that broke your heart that it ended because you loved it so much. For this I have 2, and I'm not even gonna have to explain them. Percy Jackson and Radio Silence. I love them so much. They're my favorite books of all time. I wish that I could read them for the first time over and over again forever because I just love them so much. So that is all for this Goodbye Good Place tag. If you watched A Good Place, please tell me about, like, your favorite character, your favorite ship, maybe your favorite kind of, like, arc. If you're gonna do spoilers, maybe, like, say that there are spoilers involved. And if you do this tag, please, like, tag me on Twitter. Whatever you want to do it. Say hi to Monty. I will be tagging people on Twitter because I didn't think to try to tag anyone before this started, so I will go do it. But if anyone who didn't get tagged on Twitter wants to do it, fuck yeah, do it. Monty supports you. He doesn't support my filling, but he supports you. In conclusion, Eleanor and Chidi have ruined all my chances of having good expectations about romance. The Good Place is such a good fucking TV show. And everything is good because it ends.